Yo guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we got the new dev live stream for the preview of Season 2, Episode 2. And this, so far, from what they were showing off, looks like maybe the biggest update that we've ever gotten in TFT. The live stream was about 3 hours long of them just presenting a ton of changes and new things coming to the game. I'm going to try to summarize everything that you need to know about the upcoming update. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So to start us off, in terms of future adjustments, they are going to be fixing the ghost bullet issue with guns, where you could have like too much fire rate and some of your bullets wouldn't be registering. They are setting a max fire rate of 2,000 RPM, so just note that going forward. Next up, they mentioned Descendant balance, where they kind of identified Haley, Viessa, and Valby as their like spot where they want Descendants to be balanced around, and they noted that Inez and Freyna are above that right now, and they plan on nerfing Inez. In terms of what they're going to do to Inez, they said that they're going to be nerfing her damage a bit and potentially looking at making it so that her one doesn't go through walls anymore, and then all of the other Descendants that aren't Valby, Viessa, and Haley are going to be subject to buffs. And those kind of balance changes are not going to be happening quite yet in this update that happens next week, but will be rolling out kind of in the coming months. Next up, with Void Erosion Purge, they said they're going to be nerfing difficulties 1 through 29. They said that the failure rate on those difficulties were higher than they'd like them to be, so that they're going to be making them easier, but they're keeping the difficulty of Void Erosion 30. And then they're making some changes to core farming, where more cores will be dropping. But the big thing that's going to be happening with core farming is that you're going to be able to convert cores that you don't need or don't want to use into cores that you do want. So let's say you get a bunch of purple cores and you really only care about green cores. You can change those purple cores into green cores. So that should be a really nice quality of life change. Next up, they broke down all of the new things that are going to be coming in Season 2, Episode 2. We're about to talk about all of them, but this is the little table of contents. You can see how many new things are coming. But one of the big things that they showed off was Serena. And we got some new Serena gameplay. She looks kind of insane. I'll let this play, but they confirmed that Serena is a new Descendant. She's going to be fire with singular and dimension abilities. So you're going to be looking for a fire, singular, and dimension reactor. And the big feature that she's bringing is her ability to fly, which they show off later, and we'll kind of break down all of her abilities. But she's looking really, really cool. And her little trailer that they just dropped on their YouTube also looks really cool. In this live stream, they showed off different customizations and how her kit's going to work. And she looks like one of the most unique Descendants that we've seen. She's got like air dashing. She can ignite enemies on fire. She seems like she can be played as a support character and also damage. Next, we got a detailed look at Serena and what her abilities do. Her passive is called Divinity, which gives her bonuses while she's in the air. She gets 45% attack increase while in the air, 45% explosive attack, 30% increased accuracy, and she gets 30% reduced recoil. So she is going to be, she's very much like focused on her guns and gets massive bonuses for shooting her guns while she's in the air. Her first ability fires out this like wave of fire that hits enemies and also dots them. That is called Sacred Flame. It has a 15-second base cooldown. Looks like they've already got it down to 4 seconds. It does 669 skill power damage with 669 burst damage. Has max expandable of 150. But the cool thing about this is its Repentance, which does continuous damage, but also strips fire resist and allows you to get round recovery on firearm attack, which I think, if I'm understanding that correctly, you can, as you're shooting at enemies, if they're affected by this, you get ammo back, which is kind of crazy. And then they said you can also shoot it at your enemies to heal them. So if you want to play as like a healing role, you can also spam this at your allies to constantly keep them topped up on health. Her second ability allows her to fly. It is a like toggleable ability that drains mana constantly. It looks like they had like a mana build on, so you're not really seeing much mana drain. But this would normally be draining mana, and the big thing is it decreases gravity. And so any action that you're doing, you're going to be more floaty. Here is the full description. Ascension. It's got 10 MP cost. or like 9 continuous MP cost. You get 85% gravity decrease, grappling hook or charge time increase by 100%. So you're more flying, less grappling hooking. But the buffs that you get while you're in the air while this is active is kind of insane. You get a multi-hit chance on your general rounds of 50% and 50% more multi-hit damage. Now, you might be like, what the heck is that? Multi-hit seems like a new stat that they're going to be adding. They're adding a ton of new mods that give you multi-hit. They're having a ton of new things that give you multi-hit. And multi-hit basically sounds exactly what it would be. It's a chance whenever you're shooting your weapons at enemies to hit them like twice. So if you would hit them once, you then hit twice. And you can scale your chance and your damage. So it sounds like a really interesting way that's going to be new for building weapons. But that's just with general rounds. If you're using impact rounds, your attack drop-off distance decreases less, so you can fire from further away, and crits will give you MP back, so you can sustain flying around if you're using impact rounds. Special rounds get surrounding AoE damage, so they get AoE basically added on to their attacks. So if you're using special rounds, you just hit multiple enemies now, which is insane. And then your high power rounds deal skill damage and have an additional fire damage chance of 50%. So you can sounds like you could do some crazy things where you fly around and you're shooting like a restored relic that's doing a bunch of damage, but it's also dealing skill damage at the same time. This is one of the craziest abilities that we've seen, giving you multi-hit, crit recovery, AoE damage on special rounds, and skill damage on your weapons. Actually crazy. Her third ability is a dash or a dodge. If you use it on the ground, it'll send you up into the air, but if you use it while you're in the air, it'll dash you, and you can dash in any direction. So you like push your stick whatever way you're aiming, and you can dash, and then if you hold it down, you'll dash further. And so you can kind of do these short bursts, or you can do these like longer dashes. But the cool thing about this dash is it resets your jump, so you can do it and then jump again. And it also is what you're using to keep in the air. On its skill description, it does do a bit of damage, but the big thing is when used in midair, Serena moves quickly in the direction of movements, and it reloads her currently equipped weapon, and it resets her jump. So if you're using a rocket launcher, instead of having to do the big reload animation, you just dash and you get your gun fully reloaded, which is kind of insane. And her last ability is called Redemption, where she does this big AoE and pulls out a mace. This is on a 110-second cooldown at base, and it applies both kind of debuffs and buffs. So you get Prayer of Redemption, which at default is 5 seconds. You get 5 stacks of it, and you get 18% damage reduction per stack. But when you get hit, you remove those stacks, but when those stacks are removed, you get HP and MP back. So basically, you activate this and you become incredibly tanky, and you can recover your HP and MP, which seems really nice. And then you also get Redemption Judgment, which is 15-second duration, and you get additional AoE damage range on your firearms at 100% chance. And it looks like their damage multiplier scales off of your HP. So you build Serena for a ton of HP, and all of her weapons will deal additional AoE damage, which is awesome. I think that's a really clever way to kind of design her, where you're going to be flying around, you're going to want to be shooting your guns, but obviously if you're flying around, it's not going to be the easiest thing to aim your weapons. So they're making it so all of her weapons, that while she's using them, are going to have AoE. So even if you're not the most accurate, you're still going to be dealing tons of damage with your weapons. And next up, they talked about these new Sigma sectors. Now, these are the 2 new areas that are... Next, they talked about these Sigma sectors. These are the new areas that are going to get added. There's the Broken Boundary and the Isolated Desert, and you can play these on normal risk or high risk. They said that high risk is going to be a difficulty that's slightly above 400% dungeons. So, it's nowhere near like a Void Erosion 30, but it will be a little bit more hard than a 400%. And a lot of the things that we're going to be farming in the update are going to be here. They said that these missions are, if I believe I understood correctly, more so randomly generated, but they're kind of like dungeons with a boss at the end. I got the impression that these aren't like areas that you're going to be free roaming in and doing missions. It sounds like you boot into one or the other and kind of like clear out an area and then kill a boss and then you're done. They said that they should take about 6 to 8 minutes to complete on average. So it looks like a solid, thing that you can knock out pretty quickly. Here's some gameplay of those. Here's some gameplay of that Sigma sector. It seemed like it's pretty open space, which is perfect for Serena. And they showed off some gameplay using the ancient or the restored relic, launching it and deleting literally everything. They did note that Serena doesn't have, at least with the build that they were using, as fast clear as like an Inez or Freyna, but her playstyle looks really cool and really unique. And they called out that she's basically an AC 130, which was really funny because that's exactly what I was thinking. But one thing that's really awesome that they showed off is just her ability to regen ammo, because the new fellow that they're adding actually gives you ammo at regular intervals for your weapon. Plus, you can have like restoring rounds while you're flying in the air and shooting your weapons with Serena. You get tons of AoE, and you can actually use heavy weapons pretty effectively. It did look like they were having a little bit of like mana issues sometimes, where they'd actually have to return down to the ground. But as long as you have mana, you can just stay afloat and keep flying. They were using MP Collector for that reason on the build that they were rocking, to try to sustain some of the mana of the flying. Here's some gameplay of the boss fight at the end of the dungeon. It looks like they were like summoning black holes and portals. So very cool looking, but honestly, like the build that they were playing dispatched the boss pretty handily. And they also showed off some of the new weapons, which we'll talk about a bunch more later. But tons of enemies spawning, totally open area. Looks like, AoE Descendants are definitely going to shine in this kind of content. And Serena gets to stay above just about everything, shooting down and raining down damage. Next, they showed off the arcade tuning system, which is going to be like skill trees. They did confirm that it's going to be the same skill tree for all of the Descendants, but you set them up individually. So, like, for example, you're not going to have a different skill tree on Jaybird than you would on Valby, but you can spec into them separately, and you get 3 loadouts for your skill tree. So if you want to have a gun Haley skill tree and then a ability a Haley skill tree, you can absolutely do that. It looks like you get 40 points at max, which was enough to grab like 2 of the gold kind of mods or skills. There was things for firearm damage. There was things for skill cooldown. There was things for HP. And there was things for multi-hit stuff. And then there's all these like little blue and purple things on the way that can give you like crit damage, damage to Colossus, skill damage, MP recovery modifier, HP, movement speed, and more. And they showed out specking kind of through the whole tree. And the fact that the way that you farm for this skill tree is going to be in the new area, the Sigma sector. They said it was about 10 hours of grinding to fully unlock your skill tree. And I believe that's 10 hours for like all of the Descendants. Like it's universal. It's not like you have to do 10 hours per Descendant. At least I'd hope not. That would be a crazy amount of grinding. But it seems about like 10 hours to kind of knock out this full skill tree. Next thing they showed off is the Tormentor, who is kind of like a modified version of Executor. This is going to be the new Void Intercept bottle that's replacing Defiler, the new hardest boss in the game. Obviously, with this, Defiler is going to be getting swapped out for this boss. And it's one of the cooler boss fights that we've gotten to see. They did kill the boss pretty quickly on a Smithereens that didn't have a single core on it, so I'd be curious to just how difficult the boss is. But the fight looks really, really cool. I'm going to skip forward a bit. This boss summons these big electric balls that you need to break. If you don't break them, you get debuffed, but if you do kill them, you get a buff. So there's our Serena breaking them. And then during the fight, there's also this electric disco ball that's going to be raining down damage. It doesn't seem like you can destroy that, and there's like no cover in the arena at all. And so Serena obviously has a huge advantage here where she can just stay above all of the beams, floating and shooting at Tormentor. This definitely seems like, a fight that was partly tailor made for her. But I'm sure, like, your Glaze and Freynas and things like that are going to be able to do some pretty crazy boss melts. The Smithereens that they were using here was fully built for Toxic, and they knocked it out pretty quickly. I think it was like a minute and 15-second kill with no cores on their Smithereens, so definitely could be, a whole lot faster. Next up, they showed off the Hunting Dog. This is the new Golden Retriever that's going to be coming to the game. Originally, they said that it wouldn't be able to auto-dismantle items. They've gone and changed that, so now this dog will auto refill your ammo for your equipped weapon, but also auto dismantle items, so you don't have to pick between that and the Shepherd. However, to like not completely invalidate the Shepherd, they've made it so that the Shepherd now has a new ability, and that it gives you increased health recovery, which I'm going to be honest is basically invalidating it. Like I think 99% of players, maybe everyone except for Glay, is going to be using this dog because the ability to just refill your rounds is kind of insane. But this is going to be the new dog, and the way that you like level it up is the same way as the like previous fellow. Next, they started to show off some of the new weapons. This is the Malevolent. It is a hand cannon that fires bladed cogs that bounce and hit multiple enemies. And if you hit weak points, it spawns more bladed cogs. If any of you are familiar with the recursion from Borderlands, it looks like that, which is freaking awesome. It looks like an incredibly powerful new mobbing weapon. They showed it off, and the visual effects of it bouncing between enemies and like spinning into them looks really cool. And it's also got this like red glow. I'm really hoping that this does enough damage to be a top contender as a mobbing weapon. Because it just looks so cool. You can see that you're firing at one enemy and like hitting literally everything else around you. They showed off some of the new mods as well. There's a ton of new like multi-hit mods. This is like multi-hit rifling, which gives you 60% chance for your hits to hit multiple times, but you have less fire rate. Obviously, it's going to be interesting for like mobbing weapons for all the multi-hit. I was a little confused here because it said high power rounds on a hand cannon. That's clearly impact rounds, but maybe that's just like a little bit of a dev thing. They also showed off some more weapons. This is the Ancient Knight. This is a ability called Descending Judgment that gives you float and atonement. While you're shooting it midair, you get float to give it more range and less damage drop off. And you can also heal yourself while you're shooting it. And then if you shoot it with atonement, you get multi-hit damage increase. So you get your multi-hits dealing more damage, and then you lose all your buffs if you hit the ground. Looks like Serena's like signature assault rifle. Next, they showed off a new sniper rifle, the ATAMS, which looks really crazy. They said it's like a really high damage weapon that's really slow firing, and its unique gimmick is that the longer you're scoped in, the more damage it deals, but it drains your mana. And they were on like a mana regen build on their Serena, so didn't really get to see how much mana it was draining. But like if they scoped in longer, there's like a 6 million, and then they shoot immediately and they do less damage. So, if you're like lining up your shots and wanting to deal a ton of damage, this looks pretty interesting. I'd be curious to how it works with Haley's 4. Could be potentially a new weapon for her. And then they showed off my favorite weapon out of all of them, which I honestly thought I'd like the Ricochet one the most. But this is the Truly Deadly Arson. It basically turned Blair into a weapon. This is a flamethrower that is going to be a special weapon that has the unique ability to basically... Let's see if we could go to it. They said that this wasn't like fully finished, but it has a Void Fire that gives you firearm damage, and Inferno that gives you firearm damage. Once again, like this screen isn't fully finished, but this gun basically is if you're firing at enemies that are already on fire, you trigger your Inferno mode. So as you can see, when they start firing it, there's not really anything happening. I don't know what that was. They start firing it, the beam is like pretty small, but if they are hitting enemies that are already ignited, it turns into this like Inferno beam. So you can ignite with your one on Serena, and then while you're firing at those ignited enemies, you turn the weapon into like truly a flamethrower, which looks really, really cool. I cannot wait to use this thing. Hopefully, really good. Hopefully, it does a bunch of damage. Next, they showed off some new sets. We're going to rapid fire through these. The Unpredictable set has 3 different buffs that'll grant you randomly. You can get HP recovery, you can get skill power, or you can get like weapon damage. The Crusader set is your tank set. Gives you heavy armor, which gives you incoming damage reductions, and you lose, like whenever you get hit, you lose stacks of heavy armor. And you also, whenever you get hit, have a chance to purify yourself, so you like remove any debuffs on yourself. Looks like a pretty interesting tank set. Then we get the Sprinting set, which gives you a 2-set piece of reduced grappling hook charge time, and 4-piece. Whenever you use a skill, you get 10% movement speed. So if you're looking to like move around quickly, that's definitely the set for you. And then the set that looks absolutely insane with Serena, the Ascending set. This gives you skill cost reduction, and the 4-piece bonus is when reloading in midair, provides supply bullets on a 10-second cooldown, which just gives you field supplies and intercept battle supplies, like 10%. I'm imagining, or it sounded the way they were talking about this, that just gives you ammo back. So whenever you reload while you're in the air, you get your ammo back, which, you know, plays into the playstyle of Serena, just spamming weapons while flying around. They showed off some of the new mods. I'm not going to go through all of them. There was a ton, but a lot of them are focused on multi-hit chance, where you could get like multi-hit damage and multi-hit chance. There's some ultimate mods and purple mods. They did specifically show them off for special rounds, but I'm assuming that there are more for like other type of rounds. And these were the like compressed rounds, where you get a bunch of bonus elemental damage if you're chain firing at the same enemy from 25 meters or more with your special weapon. Next up, they showed off the photo mode, which looked pretty cool. Not too much to say here, but we are getting a photo mode, and there's a ton of different options so that you can mess around and make your character look as cool as possible. Next off, they showed changes to the Descendant skins. Basically, they're making it so that you can dye every single part of Descendant skins across like all of the skins. Previously, you know, you could dye like certain parts of skins. Specifically on like ultimate skins, there was parts that you couldn't change. Now they're making it so that you can dye like literally every single part, which is pretty cool. They're also making some big changes to the shop. One of those being that there will no longer be limited time skins, and because there's no limited time skins, things are just going to be building up, and there's going to be tons of options in the store. So they've changed the like format and the display of it to be more easily navigatable. And they made one really cool change to this, which I liked a lot. But you can like select your descendants. Like let's say you select Serena. It will only show you cosmetics that are available to Serena across all of the tabs. So if you really want to customize your Freyna, you could just search specifically for like Freyna items. Next, they showed off the implant module setting. Next up, they showed the implant module system. This is the system that will allow you to turn your like ultimates. Next up, they showed the implant module system. This is the system that is going to basically be how you transfer all of your progress on your non-ultimate descendants to your ultimate descendants. Basically, how this is going to work is if you have all of your slots catalyzed on Bunny, for example, and then you get Ultimate Bunny, all of those slots that you've catalyzed on Bunny will just transfer over to Ultimate Bunny. However, if there's anything that's a duplicate, let's say you've catalyzed your grappling hook module on Ultimate Bunny already, and you've already catalyzed that grappling hook module on your Bunny, your normal Bunny, you will get anything that is a duplicate back as return consumables. So if you've put an energy activator into your Bunny and you put an energy activator into your Ultimate Bunny, when you do this implant, you'll get your energy activator back, and you'll get any duplicate catalyst back, which is really, really awesome. However, this isn't something you're going to be able to do like on every single character immediately, because they're going to be requiring this implant material. This implant material is going to be given for free. You don't need to buy it, but it's going to be through events. So anytime that they release a new Ultimate Descendant, they're going to be giving one of these out. So there's going to be like a way to acquire them. And then also they're going to be doing an event when the season launches that you can get a few, which is pretty nice. But yeah, system we've been asking for a while. Really happy that they're basically allowing you to return any overused things right back into your inventory. Next up, they showed off a ton of new skins. There's a lot of new skins coming to the game. This one was for Glay. That one looked really cool. Next, they showed this one for... sorry, that last one was for Haley. This one's for Glay. This is the new Glay skin that's coming out in the update. And then we get to the tier 3 Sharon skin, which this is one of the better looking tier 3 skins, like evolution skins that they've done. The like last version of the evolution looks crazy, very like kind of Batman inspired. But they showed off this for a while, and you can do like, you know, different customizations with it. Looks really, really cool. They also showed some upcoming skins. There's like the teacher outfit that's coming. This is a Blair skin that's like a demon. Looks really cool. And then we've also got a universal corn skin that's going to be coming to the game that everyone loved. They're also adding a bunch of schoolgirl outfits in the April 30th update, and a new universal skin on the May 22nd update that they were very excited to show off. After Season 2, Episode 2 drops, they're doing the like second update part to it on April 17th. That's going to include Ultimate Belair Story, Void Erosion Purge improvements, external component core system, reactor readjustments, new external components, badge system, and they're removing void fragments, as well as enhancing the beginner experience so that there's going to be like more streamlined quests and hopefully the main story is more engaging. And they also pointed out that May 22nd, they're going to do the Arcade Tuning Socket Edition. They didn't really elaborate on this, but I'm imagining it's almost like, you know, that you can socket gems and stuff or jewels into your skill tree to further customize it. They're adding a Ice Maiden boss, which I'm assuming is like the new version of Dead Bride, a party fighter system, and the core item conversion. That's gonna be when you can like convert your like greens or your purple cores to green cores. That's also when they're gonna be adding physics, new filters for the photo mode, and the ability to view other Descendant stats. This announcement definitely took me by surprise. Pretty crazy announcement. They announced that on June 19th, they are going to be ending support for the first Descendant on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and clarified that the game will no longer be playable on those systems. So the game is cross-save. If you have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox One or get one at any point, you'll be able to migrate your save over from PS4 and Xbox One. And it sounded like they're doing this because they have ambitious goals for the game, and it seems like last gen is holding them back. And so really kind of crazy announcement and super unfortunate to you know, the thousands of players that are on those systems. And on June 29th, they will be moving on from PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And then lastly, they announced new events. This is the Beyond the Sigma Sector event, which if you already have Ultimate Bunny, you get 2 Haley skins. And if you don't have Ultimate Bunny, you get Ultimate Bunny. You only need to log in for 4 non-consecutive days over the course of 3 months to get these new skins, which is really cool. And then on the 13th, when Season 2 or like Update 2 drops, every day that you log in for the rest of the month, you'll get a free catalyst, which is kind of insane. So free crystallization catalyst every day for 14 days for a total of 14 catalysts. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. They did have a Q&A session, but the presentation was so long that they kind of needed to rush the Q&A and head out to lunch. So there isn't really too much to discuss from the Q&A, honestly, but that is going to do it for our video on Season 2, Update 2. Seems like they're cooking up a lot of stuff. We've got the 2 new areas with the new missions, 4 new weapons, Serena, who looks really, really good, and a bunch of quality of life changes and improvements, as well as the new boss. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There's kind of a lot to mention with this. It is pretty crazy that they're ending support for the game on PS4 and Xbox One. I'm sure they know about the amount of players that they're probably losing because of that. But, you know, it seems like the devs have some ambitious goals for the game, and they're really trying to bring it into the future. And it seems like that is the step that they're having to take to do so. But yeah, guys, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Let me know your thoughts on this live stream down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.